I never thought my marriage would end because of a neighbor. If someone had told me a year ago that the woman living 3 houses away would be the one to expose my husband's secret, I would have laughed in their face. Because back then, I trusted my husband with everything. My name is Sarah, and for 7 years, I believed I had a happy marriage. Sure, things had changed recently. Daniel had started coming home late. He barely looked at me during dinner. He spent more time on his phone than talking to me. But marriage changes people, right? At least, that's what I kept telling myself. Every time my gut whispered that something felt wrong, I ignored it. Because trusting someone means believing them even when doubt creeps in. Or, at least, that's what I thought. It all started on a rainy Thursday night. Daniel had just left for what he called another late work meeting. I remember standing by the kitchen sink, washing dishes, when I heard a knock at the door. At first, I almost ignored it. It was already past 9 p.m. Who visits this late? But something about that knock felt strange. Slow. Careful. Almost nervous. When I opened the door, I saw my neighbor standing there, and the look on her face instantly made my stomach drop. She looked nervous, like she almost didn't want to be there. "Hey, Sarah," she said softly. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" It was Mrs. Carter. She lived 3 houses down from us. We weren't close friends, but we always smiled when we saw each other. Still, seeing her at my door at this hour felt strange. "Sure," I said, stepping aside. The moment she walked inside, I noticed something odd. She kept looking out the window, like she was scared someone might see her. "Is everything okay?" I asked. She sat down slowly and took a deep breath. Then she looked directly at me and said something that made my entire body freeze. "I think your husband is hiding something from you." I laughed nervously. "What are you talking about?" She hesitated. "I didn't want to say anything," she whispered, "but I feel guilty staying quiet." Then she explained. Her sister lived across town near Oak Street. Over the last few weeks, whenever she visited, she kept seeing Daniel there, late at night, walking into the same house. At first, she ignored it, but then one evening, she saw him hugging another woman outside. And suddenly, nothing felt normal anymore. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying her words in my head. Another woman, another house, late nights. No, it couldn't be true. Daniel loved me, didn't he? But the more I thought about it, the more little things started adding up. The locked phone, the sudden passwords, the way he turned his screen away every time I walked near him, the fake smiles, the distance. Had I been blind this whole time? The next evening, Daniel grabbed his keys. "Late meeting again," he said casually, then kissed my forehead, like nothing was wrong, like he wasn't possibly destroying our marriage. The second he drove away, I made a decision. I was going to follow him, even if I hated myself for it, even if the truth destroyed me. Because sometimes, not knowing hurts more than finding out. My hands were shaking as I followed his car. I stayed far enough back, so he wouldn't notice me. 20 minutes later, he turned onto Oak Street. My stomach dropped. No. No way. Mrs. Carter had been telling the truth. Then I saw it. The blue house. Daniel parked outside. And before I could even process anything, the front door opened. A woman stepped outside, smiling, waiting for him. And then, he kissed her. Like it was normal. Like I didn't exist. Like 7 years together meant absolutely nothing. I felt my chest tighten. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, cry, run. But instead, I just sat there, frozen, watching my marriage fall apart in real time. The next morning, I went back. I needed answers. My heart was pounding as I knocked on the door. The woman opened it. She looked confused. Yes. I swallowed hard. "I'm Daniel's wife." Her face changed instantly. "Wife," she whispered. The color disappeared from her face. Then she said something I never expected. "He told me he was divorced." I froze. "What?" She started crying. For almost a year, Daniel had been living a double life. He told her I was his crazy ex-wife. Meanwhile, he was telling me he worked late every night. We were both being lied to, both manipulated. both broken by the same man. She invited me inside, and for the next hour, we compared stories, messages, photos, hotel bookings, future plans. He had promised her marriage, the same promises he made me. I should have hated her, but I didn't, because she wasn't the villain. He was. And then, we came up with a plan. We wouldn't tell him we knew. Not yet. Instead, we would confront him together and make sure he had nowhere left to hide. Saturday night, dinner time. That's when his lies would finally end. Saturday came. Daniel walked into the house smiling. "Something smells good," he joked. Then, he looked up and froze, because sitting at the dining table was me and the other woman, silent, waiting. The smile disappeared from his face instantly. "What is this?" he whispered. I looked him straight in the eyes. "No," I said quietly. "What is this? How long were you planning to lie to both of us?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No excuse came out. No explanation. Just panic. Because for the first time, he had nowhere left to run. 2 months later, I filed for divorce. And strangely enough, the person who helped me heal the most was my neighbor. The same woman brave enough to knock on my door that rainy night. Sometimes I still think about how different my life could have been if she stayed quiet. If she ignored what she saw. If she chose not to speak. Maybe I would still be living inside a lie. Still trusting someone who never deserved it. But life has a funny way of exposing secrets. And sometimes, the truth doesn't come from the person you love. It comes from the person brave enough to show you what everyone else is too afraid to say. And honestly, losing him wasn't the hardest part. Realizing I never truly knew him, that was the part that broke me.